So my name is Ivar Kruusenberg. I'm a CEO of PowerUp Energy Technologies, and I think were invited here to tell you about the hard life of the deep tech and hardware startups. As you see, I mean, half of the people left. I mean, hardware and deep tech is not really interesting. So and people, I mean, investors are really afraid of this. I think that's why they also left. First of all, what we do. So we are making hydrogen fuel cell-based smart generators. Why smart? Because it's not only hydrogen fuel cell what we are integrating into this small portable box. It's the size of small, like a toolbox. It's only 10 kilos. And there's also supercapacitors and the planar batteries inside. Meaning that we are actually combining all up-to-date technologies into one box. And it's also possible to, in the end, connect small solar panel, for example, into this box so we can store electricity as well. So that's why we call it smart generator, because it's actually possible to make this small box transfer it into the smart grid system. And our target market is, first of all, sailing boat market, which is kind of small. That's why also investors a little bit are like, feel unsafe about this. But I mean, the market is actually much wider for these kind of technologies. We can sell these products also to the military. We have already some pre-orders, also automotive industry. And if we take the system out of the box, we can install it to the drones as well. So there's many opportunities and market segments where we can use it. But about our story, so the really beginning of everything, so as it was said, I'm actually a physical chemist myself. I have been dealing with the fuel cells and the catalyst materials for the fuel cells for more than 14 years now. And it's really basic research what we are doing. We're synthesizing carbon nanomaterials, we're testing these with different electrochemical methods, and then we write the research paper, we write another research paper, and another one, and finally I have like 30 papers. And my H index is really high. I mean, I could most probably apply to some associate professor position in UCLA or somewhere. But I mean, at one point during my PhD studies, I felt like I want to get out of this basic research and I want to do something really like something with my hands, something into the community, take the technology from the lab to the real life. And this was the time when I started really thinking about the entrepreneurship. I took some courses in the University of Tartu. I also worked in some labs in Europe, in Netherlands, in Germany, where they were actually testing real fuel cells, real generators. And then 2015, I went to Berkeley to do my postdoc studies and work in the UC Berkeley. And as there's a huge bureaucracy and I couldn't get into the lab for 2 months, then I had a lot of free time. So, but I was in the US with Fulbright scholarship, so I had a lot of opportunities to participate in all the events. I went to the startup events in Silicon Valley, et cetera, et cetera. And I was more and more thinking about entrepreneurship. And this is my porch where I was just sitting and reading some papers, thinking about my entrepreneurship and how I can be rich and sell all this fuel cell stuff. So, but to make it happen, you need to have some kind of push forward. And first of all, I mean, as I said, there's so many startup events going on in the Bay Area. It's not only Stanford nowadays which we can consider as a Silicon Valley. I mean, it's a whole Bay Area. There's a lot of startup companies in Oakland, in San Francisco, biotech companies in Berkeley, also moving even like further north because of really high real estate prices. And at one point, I was sitting in Stanford in one demo day, and I met this guy, Albert Xu, who's former vice president of Apple. And he's really into the renewables. And I started to talk about renewable energy and the fuel cells with him. And also I mentioned my idea of making a company, startup company. And he was the guy who's told me like, hey man, what are you waiting for? I mean, this is Bay Area, you need to make it happen here. It's now or never. And we arranged a meeting next day in Skydeck. We were having lunch next doors in the cafeteria, and then he took me upstairs of this building. There's the last floor is fully occupied by the UC Berkeley accelerator named Skydeck. And I did put together a team and applied, and we got into the hot tasking, and we were finally 2 years in Skydeck. And my first team was like these guys. So I really didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, how to put the team together. I thought like it's during my like PhD studies, I had a lot of undergrads. They were working really nicely. I mean, it's easy to be a boss of the undergrad students. They listen to you, etc. But actually, I mean, the undergrad students, they didn't know what they were doing. And they didn't show up when we had a meeting, and I had to call them and like, where you are? It's like, I forgot I'm playing football. And like, so it was real disaster. I had to fire them all, get rid of them, and then get new team together. And this time it was more successful. These are my co-founders. Nick Engel, he was CTO back then. Now he's not with us anymore because we are in Estonia, and he joined UCLA for the law studies, unfortunately. But Natalia is still with us. Natalia is a corporate lawyer. It's a little bit strange skills, but I mean, in US, incorporation, etc., like putting everything together. And she was really motivated, also helped with everything else, with the management. So this was where our story actually began. So we had also other engineers, and in our team we had finally 6 people together. And we started building our first prototype. In Berkeley there's a shop called L59, where actually most of like customers are Burning Man visitors. So they build like crazy machines. They have a lot of like lighting stuff and etc. But it's a big playground. They basically have everything from the electronics. So this was the main shop we visited and bought all the stuff we needed. Then this is one of our engineers building in the fuel cell lab the first generator. And we used a lot of UC Berkeley equipment and the lab facilities for that. So this environment is really, really friendly for that. And I wish that in Estonia also we would have such kind of environment. It's improving, but there's a long way to go. And this is our first prototype, fully working. I'm a little bit sad that at this time we didn't launch it to the market. We found some like kids' diseases kind of like to repair. So we found it's not perfect design. So we went further. We started with a second prototype. Nick is printing some details. Then we also partnered up with Berkeley Marine Center, which is Bay Area's biggest sailing boat builder. So as our target market is sailing boat market, and they have huge pain, then they were willing to actually help us out. So Dan he was from the airplane industry, and he knew how to build really nice boxes from the fibers, and he was building us amazing outer cases for the generators back this time. And of course, this is part of the startup life, so you have to network a lot and use all the like social network you have. So you need to find all the friends who can help you out. So basically, half of the UC Berkeley's architecture department were building some like small PCs and printing the stuff for the PowerUp. This is my friend Jura. At home, she had also some 3D printers, so they were printing some details for us. And finally, we got it ready. This is how it looks like. And this was the box. I couldn't find the picture, unfortunately, about the outer box because I changed my laptop. But this was one of the renders, so that's how it looked like. And the startup life, so it's kind of like hassle, as you know. Endless hours in the library. I've never spent so many hours in the library working. This is 4 a.m. in UC Berkeley Library. I was applying to some grant again and preparing some documents. And I mean, if after fifth day spending in the library, you get kind of crazy. So I don't even want to see these videos, pitching videos I sent out after fifth day. I was filming myself in the making selfie, and I sent it out. I thought it's pretty okay. Now I'm looking at, damn it. So also friends. I mean, it's quite important. There's a lot of fun included as well. Everyone wants to be a friend with a nice startup guy. So even some Estonian girls from LA visited me in Berkeley. We had a lot of fun together. And you meet a lot of people in the Bay Area. MC Hammer, you know. So fun is part of the game. I mean, work hard, play hard. This is the main slogan of the Bay Area startups. Of course, social life, you need to have in the startup social life because Nick was building sometimes without the sleep 2 nights in a row our prototype. So it's really ruining your mindset without having some like free time and enjoying the time together with the team. And of course, there's a downside. So I mean, this is one of the happiest part of my life. But what is the sad about it? That after I got the first kit, after 1 week, I had to fly back to US. So I lost a lot of time, which I kind of regret. So there's a lot of downsides and like relationship. Thank you, Skype. I mean, maybe there's some founders. So yeah, a lot of nice moments via Skype, and also your wife can be kind of angry when you say, like, I'm not coming home next week, honey. I had to change my tickets because the prototype is not ready yet. And also, endless pitching. This is how hardware startups try to get money because it's really hard to find any funds, so you have to find some money for your living. So sometimes it is successful. This is quite recent, but yeah, sometimes it's even more successful. I got 6,000 euros. We were able to pay some salaries. So this is part of it, and also sometimes you feel really tired of pitching. I mean, it's the same crowd, to see all the same faces, same investors. You know that they don't really care. I mean, especially in Estonia, most of them are software investors. So you see from their face, oh, again, PowerUp, yeah, whatever. So it is kind of ruining sometimes. And I mean, end of 2017, it was kind of sad moment. At the same time, it was the point of like positive changes. We had to put back our stuff together from US. This is our last team from US. It was a really nice time which we spent together, and we made a lot of improvement. But the Bay Area, actually, it's perfect for the software startups, but for the hardware, especially for the hydrogen, it's extremely hard. We couldn't find any funding from there. And the reason is that even the angel investors who usually like to invest to the hardware, they were burning a lot of money during the first round of the fuel cell boom, or the first fuel cell boom in the beginning of 2000s, because there were the fuel cell technology, but there were no infrastructure. So the fuel cell companies couldn't find hydrogen to power their fuel cells. So 99% of them failed. And all the investors also lost their money. So in the Bay Area, nobody really wants to invest to the fuel cell companies, besides maybe some bigger corporations, Yamaha, etc., who's having investment departments there. But this is more about Series A or Series B. So for the financial reasons, we had to move to Europe because it was damn expensive in US. And as I'm from Estonia, obviously we came to Estonia. And we had nice collaboration with some local companies. We built our third generation, which was even closer to the marketable product which we have right now. And then we had to leave all the team to US. We were finding new people to employ in Estonia. So currently we have 2 mechanical engineers, 1 electrical engineer. Ilmar is doing business development, Carmen is doing PR, Maiko is doing marketing. So I'm really happy about these guys. We are 2 weeks away, hopefully, from the first beta testing and the first paying customers in the way that we can really develop or deliver the product to them. And it's a little bit like strange and funny, but the first customers are in the US, so we have to take the product now back to US. So yeah, that's our product on the table here. So, and we cannot make it. None of the hardware companies actually can make it without having like amazing partners and finding some grants. So we have had chance to like, first of all, collaborate with Berkeley Marine Center. They have helped us a lot. And we're really happy that we are part of the European Space Agency program, incubation program, ESABIC. So they have been helping us a lot with not only financials, but also with a lot of know-how for the hardware startups. Because there's not too many mentors who knows about the hardware, etc. And also the European money. This is something which is important for the hardware companies, because there's a lot of, if you have priority technology, which we have, it's easy to, or more or less easy to find soft money or funding opportunities where you don't have to give up any equity. And collaboration also with the universities. This is something really critical, because this is from where the new know-how is coming, and also there's a lot of resources. And yeah, finding funding for the hardware. I mean, this is so. Raise hands who's a hardware investor. You see, huh? So basically, I mean, as I said, in Estonia, extremely hard. If we would be a company in Germany, it would be most probably much easier for us, but there's some other downsides. And this is also one of the reasons why we're looking, as one of the Estonian hardware companies did famous skeleton technologies, they moved to Germany. So because of these reasons, we're also now looking for the possibilities to move out from Estonia. It's really unfortunate, but that's how the life is. If you don't have enough opportunities, you need to find another place to make it, because we're not stopping our business because of that. And yeah, we're fundraising 300,000 right now, the pre-seed, because we still try to keep our cap table as clean as possible, and then get it to the Series A with this. So that's what we're doing, and hopefully we are successful. So let's see. We are pushing hard for that. I think that's all. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Hopefully I can answer to all the questions.
First of all, a big applause. And we have a question right here.
How competitive is our product compared to the petrol diesel generators in euros per kilowatt or something, and to see it improving in your benefit?
So actually, it's that's why our first beachhead market is also sailing boat market, because there it's extremely competitive. The main reason is that in the ocean environment, everything is corroding. Everything is what is from the metal is corroding really badly. So even when they have 2 diesel generators on the board, it often happens that both fail. So then you're in big trouble. And then this is the main reason. Also the noise. They don't like the noise and the weight-wise as well. And from comparing to the batteries, for example, our technology is from the weight-wise 10 times more efficient comparing to the batteries. That's why the maritime application is something where it's really competitive to the another technologies like diesel generators, the batteries. But there's also other market segments, as I told, the drones, for example. If we take the fuel cells to the drones, then fuel cell can, with the fuel cell, the drone can run for 2 hours, 3 hours on the air, while with the batteries it lasts only like half an hour up to an hour. So there's a big advantage.
Any more questions to Ivar? Yeah, we have here one.
Hi, I'm Kalev. I'm from Superangel, one of the startups, one of the investors who doesn't like hardware startups. But I have a wider question: that is there any hope for Estonia as a country for becoming more friendly for hardware startups? Because several of hardware startups are moving away as fast as they can. So it's kind of seems like an uphill battle, but there's nothing the ministries or Enterprise Estonia or government or investors can do in order to create a very good environment for hardware startups. So we should forget about it and focus on software happy shit.
So basically, I mean, government has done a lot recently. There's beginning of next year, 2020, they opened some funds which are especially for the deep tech. So there's some improvement from this wise. And I think also, as most of investors, they like to invest to the sector which they know the best. So the key is to have as many successful hardware startups so that we would have investors like the former CEO, CTOs, the people from the company who have made exit. I mean, they have money to invest, and they know about it, about the technology. That's why, I mean, the Nelja Energia guys, they're one of the lead investors for many energy startups because they know the market. And I think when, for example, from the skeleton, they will make exit, they will also start investing to the hardware startups. So it's a question about having these lead investors, because I think many of the software investors also they're willing to invest if there's a proper lead, but we have lack of leads. That's the main issue.
Question from my side, is it a reason that it's hard to understand? We have lack of knowledge in that pool, meaning the technology hardware startups?
Yeah, I mean, because the payback time is much longer, and it needs more investments. If there's scale up, you need to invest more money, and you need to be really sure that what the startup is doing, how the business, how the market is working at all. And this is, I think, the key for that.
We have time for one more question. If no, then I'm sure you can ask from Ivar if he gets off the stage. But thank you for a great speech.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.